episode of Zone Coverage. I'm Cody Schoeler here with Ryan Root. As always, ready to talk about some NFL action getting into the Week 11 slate of games. We are going to start with some news. Let me pull that up. The first thing, we'll start with the game for tonight. Damian Harris is off of the injury report. He obviously missed last week, while Cordero Patterson is a, quote, long shot to play tonight for the Falcons. Obviously, this game is happening in a few hours, and some, possibly some big implications from those two players right there.
Yeah, I mean, since the Patriots have been kind of on a hot streak as of late, I mean, it's good that they're going to get Harris back. And in a pretty, I feel like, Patriots against Falcons is almost kind of a gimme game for Belichick here. And they're going to continue their winning streak. So getting more support in the backfield is going to be good for them. And in terms of the Falcons, like, if you want any sort of shot of being a wild card, obviously I think tonight's the night to get your win and get a win against this Patriots team. So, as far as I'm concerned, Harris is definitely going to make this Patriots team better, and I think the Falcons can manage without Cordero.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Patriots do because Ramondre Stevenson looked really good last week in the starting role, see how they continue to work him in. And then, Patterson's been like the do-it-all guy for Atlanta, especially stepping up with their receiving core struggling. So Mike Davis, I believe Wayne Gallman are there. Somebody will pick up the slack, but probably will not be as dynamic as Patterson has been. And then, let's see. We'll go to two players that got injured last week, one of which, Chase Young, torn ACL. He's out for the year. And then Aaron Jones, I believe, some MCL sprain or strain. He's out 1 to 2 weeks, so he'll miss at least this week's game with A.J. Dillon stepping in for him. But those were kind of the Chase Young injury. Obviously, was a tough one last week, and then Jones. Luckily, the Packers avoided something big with his just kind of getting banged up there.
Yeah, considering that the Packers are, Aaron Rodgers or bust in terms of their offense. Aaron Jones, don't get me wrong, is going to affect them. But I feel like Dillon is going to still pick up the slack there, just like how he did against Seattle, right? So
yeah, no, he's been good for sure.
Right, and without Aaron Jones, like you still got Devontae Adams out there, and to be honest, that's all this Green Bay offense needs at this point because they can get it done by themselves. Maybe throw Randall Cobb in there from here and there, and maybe there will be a miracle and Tunyon will get involved. But Chase Young out for the season. That really sucked to see that headline last weekend, considering, I really like Chase Young. I think he's going to be, your next premier edge rusher in this league, up there with Khalil Mack and, up there with Aaron Donald. He's not an edge rusher, but Aaron Donald type, dominance I think Chase Young can have. But much like the season for Washington, it's just been a disappointment after, one after another. So, will we get to see Chase Young week 1 next week or next year?
Maybe.
I hope so. But torn ACLs are just always, you think it's going to take a year, and it always takes a little longer. So it really sucks to see Chase Young out because I wanted him to have his breakout year this year.
Yeah, and he was not having his breakout year up to that. Only a sack and a half this year. One of the reasons why the Washington defense had been kind of struggling was that he was not the same player. So hopefully, he comes back healthy for the start of next year and can be the guy that he certainly has the potential to be. I'll hit you with, Joe Flacco will be the Jets starting quarterback this weekend. I believe Tua will be starting for the Dolphins opposite of him. You were a bit shocked when they named Mike White the starter at the start of all this. Didn't work. It worked out for a week. Then it all came crashing down. But, still all this means is that when Zach Wilson's healthy, he will take over the job, no questions asked. And it's still his to, kind of deal with for the rest of the year. But, yeah, Joe Flacco, I don't know what to expect from him. Maybe he can, be solid for some of those good receivers, but not expecting big things from him.
I mean, the thing with the Jets right now is it seems like they're game planning, pretty much on a week-to-week basis. That's every single team in the league for the most part, right? But the Jets especially, I mean, without Zach Wilson, I mean, I don't know what direction you take the offense until Zach Wilson comes back because, I mean, they started Mike White upon, signing Joe Flacco, and yeah, I was shocked at the time. And I'm kind of shocked now that they're going with Joe Flacco after Mike White. I mean, Mike White played fantastic for 1 week and then played awful this last weekend.
4 picks this weekend, yeah.
It almost seems like they're just starting to play towards the other team. I mean, like maybe they think Flacco has a better chance against Miami's defense. Maybe he has a better chance to win the game.
They gave Mike White a chance. It just didn't end up working out. With Flacco, you know what you have. He's proven. He won't throw 4 picks, most likely, but he probably won't do anything special either. But, I mean, like I said, they've got playmakers, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore. They've got Michael Carter at running back. They've got guys that can make plays, so Flacco can just get it to them. They certainly could beat the Dolphins. I mean, they're not going up against a huge foe, which, I mean, we'll get to that later. But, yeah, Joe Flacco, I hope nobody is starting him in fantasy this week.
Well, I'm even looking at, the Jets' previous games after Mike White's big performance. They went with a completely different quarterback in what's this guy's name? If I can pull it up real quick.
No, Josh Johnson came in because Mike White got injured.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. It's been a crapshoot for them, which, I mean,
maybe they think Mike White is, maybe that guy that can throw over the top a little bit better than Flacco, right? He's got a little bit better of an arm than Flacco for the time being. And, going up against the Buffaloes and the Cincinnatis and even Indianapolis, it's like you might have to take them over top and go for the deep ball. So maybe that's kind of their game plan with Mike White. But like Miami, I'm just spitballing here, taking a shot in the dark that they think Joe Flacco has a better chance to win this game.
I think you're reading too much into it. I don't know if they're thinking that much.
But yeah, I'm just saying, like, that has to be their thought process because I don't know what other direction they're taking the offense in.
Yeah.
Until Zach Wilson comes back. And then even when Zach Wilson comes back, they got to teach him not to throw interceptions. So it's just not a great time to be a Jets fan for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's not
a lot
to be a Jets fan.
No. Yeah, that's for sure. Elijah Mitchell suffered a finger fracture last week. There's optimism that he plays on Sunday, but he's been doing pretty well. I guess they played on Monday, so but he's been doing pretty well in that lead back role for the Niners. Just solid runner. They've got Jeff Wilson, Trey Sermon, I think, is healthy. I mean, they've got options if Mitchell doesn't play, but he's the lead back for sure. So we'll see if he does play, if he still gets the full bulk of carries or what. But I mean, the Niners are technically just like everybody else except the Lions in the NFC in the playoff hunt. So they need everything they can get.
It kind of surprised me to see finger fracture as the reason that he couldn't play. But then again, Russell Wilson missed however many weeks off of a dislocated finger, basically.
There's two things in it. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you can't extend your finger, it's kind of hard to play football.
Right. And I mean, depending on what finger it is, which I don't know, and depending on how bad the fracture is, I think running back would be, other than maybe kicker, running back would be the best position to play with an injury like this, because other than holding onto the ball, and maybe throwing, I guess stiff arms would be an issue, but I feel like you could play through a finger fracture.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Basketball players play through finger injuries, but he's been playing good so far. I'd hate to see him miss a game over this, but if it's as bad as it says it is.
I mean, you don't want it. I mean, one fumble or one, pass through your hands could be the turning point in a game. So you don't want to throw somebody out there. I think Jeff Wilson will probably get a lot of passing game work, whether or not Mitchell plays. But another running back, Saquon Barkley, trending towards playing. This was earlier in the week. He's in and out of practicing, not practicing. I mean, he's been on the periphery of getting back on the field. I think he'll play this week. They don't play until Monday, so he's got that extra day. But it'll be interesting, like with everybody else, Devontae Booker's been pretty good in his stead. What the split is, I doubt he comes in and, is a 3 down, 100% type guy. But, I mean, the Giants need all the help they can get. They're dealing with a bunch of injuries. Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney are not on the injury list today, so they should be looking to play too. If they get their weapons back, they can be a somewhat explosive offense.
I don't want to hear about Saquon Barkley trending towards playing again. I want to see Saquon Barkley trending towards playing the way that we thought he was going to play. Let's
see what the most recent one is.
Injury after injury with Saquon, it's like, I don't care about any Saquon news until I see him touch the field. Like, if Saquon is going to play, then okay, now I'll watch Saquon Barkley. But even when Saquon does play, he's got bones made of glass, it seems like, and he just can't get comfortable in the NFL aside from his rookie year. And I mean,
he's touching the practice field, so that's good enough. Limited on practice.
He's touching one field over, but
yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys. I mean, a lot of guys like that, but yeah, just once he gets on the field, hopefully he stays on it. Similar to, we talked for weeks about Christian McCaffrey coming back, and took a while until he finally did. So similar situation there.
Like CMC situation's a little different than this, considering that he's had injury issues for the first time these past 2 years, or this year and last year. Mm-hmm. But Saquon, pretty much ever since he's gotten in this league, like, he's just had an injury issue of sorts. And I don't know if he had injury issues at Penn State, but I don't know what to do if I'm the Giants front office. I don't know how many years he's got left on that contract, but like, if it's just gonna be this play 2 games out for 6 pattern keep going on, then like, what's the point at this? Yeah. He's gonna end up being like the second overall pick bust at this point. And I hate to see it, because I think Saquon Barkley has a ton of potential. He just can't play dang game. But yeah. I want to see him play. I don't care if the medical staff says that he's on track to put on his helmet. Great. I want to see him touch the field.
That's the first step. And then finally, Ben Roethlisberger, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Joey Bosa, and Jerry Tillery all on the COVID list. The Steelers play the Chargers on Sunday night. Obviously, any of them could get off of this depending on vaccination status. You just need, to clear the protocols. Big Ben obviously missed last week, so that probably goes to show he probably had it, or at least had something a little more serious. So, those are some names that could swing it one way or the other. Obviously, Mason Rudolph, they're planning like he is a starter, and that's, that could be a big deal, because as bad as Ben Roethlisberger has been, Mason Rudolph is still his backup. And then obviously for the Chargers, Joey Bosa is a stud on that defensive side of the ball. So obviously you'll have to stay up on that and see who's active for Sunday, but those could be some players that swing that game.
Because these are both teams that are, battling for one of those wild card spots in their respective division, AFC West and AFC North. So this game does mean at least a little bit with these teams, because, whichever one wins, that starts their path towards making the playoffs. But like Pittsburgh, backup quarterback, Chargers don't have their premier edge rusher. Like, I wish this game had better, better momentum going in, but like, the Steelers are going to have to put their faith in Mason Rudolph, who just tied with the Lions last week. So against the Chargers defense that even without Joey Bosa is still at least somewhat effective, I think. So I wish like they were a little bit more healthy for a Sunday night game, but that's just what we have, I guess. And maybe Justin Herbert will take advantage of this game and actually put up some points. TJ Watt's still out there, so that's a whole other different deal. But wish we had a better Sunday night football game to watch. We started off the year hot, but
one more I'm going to throw out there, another trending in the right direction. Nick Chubb, who missed last week in the COVID protocol, seems likely that he will play this weekend. Obviously, he is one of the best running backs in the league when he's out there on the field. So that'll be a big get for them, especially as they deal with Baker Mayfield kind of injury issues and, his depleted effectiveness.
Man, I love Nick Chubb when it comes to fantasy, but man, that's the one risk you take when you get Nick Chubb. It's like you're going to get one of the best, one of the top 10 at least running backs in the league, and then you're going to get 2-3 game misses from Nick Chubb every single year, it seems. Yep. But considering that Cleveland is kind of on their heels right now, still competing for a playoff spot. I mean, we all thought. I know a good chunk of people thought that Cleveland was going to take this division by a hair when it comes to them versus Baltimore, and some people thought Baltimore were going to take the division, which Baltimore is in the lead right now, but you still got the Bengals and the Steelers that are giving them issues, and it's this division is kind of nuts right now. But if the Cleveland Browns are going to stay in the ball game, they gotta have whatever help they can get. They just got rid of OBJ. And although that may make the passing offense a little bit better in some ways, this is very crucial, back half of the season for them.
They do play the Lions, as we'll get into later. So
they'll probably get a gimme, but
yeah. But we can move on to talking about some fantasy football into our fantasy 5. If you have fantasy questions, start sits, trades, waivers, whatever it may be, drop it in the chat. We will answer them to the best of our ability, but we can kick it off by, I'll ask you if you have a start of the week or somebody in particular you're looking at, because I know I've got one. I feel confident in it.
Start of the week. Well, I'm going to look at the quarterbacks here. We'll keep it here. Right off the bat, I'm seeing Ryan Tannehill, and I think that could be a good performance from him. Don't have Derrick Henry. That's going to ruin this Texans defense. So Ryan Tannehill, I feel like, would probably be the focal point of that. I said something the last show about Cam Newton, but look, I mean, Cam Newton may or may not start, it seems. He's projected 19 points on my screen. And, we saw Cam Newton go in for some goal line plays last week and get a pair of touchdowns. And, that being said, it's like I feel like Carolina's pretty comfortable with Cam, and I'm going to ride with Cam until he has an abysmal performance because, going up against Washington, got to worry about Chase Young anymore. And Washington's about as inconsistent of a team this entire year. So I like Cam and Ryan Tannehill as my starters.
He is trending toward being the starter. That's the hot word this week. I like Jalen Hurts. Not necessarily as a quarterback, but as a fantasy quarterback. The Eagles have been leaning a lot more into the run game lately and have, running it just all around better. And then especially with him, he's got just, guaranteed upside with his rushing ability. Going against the Saints, who are, they're a solid defense. They're not like a great matchup by any means, but they're, not going to shut anybody down. The Eagles, are playing pretty hot. I think Jalen Hurts could have another big game. And then, if I'm looking at some of the other ones, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I think, is now back into that. We were worried about him for a while, but he just
about that too,
he eviscerated the Raiders. Going up against the Cowboys, which is a good, defense, but I think Mahomes and Prescott, on both sides, might be the top 2 quarterbacks this week because that probably projects to be a shootout. And then for running backs, I like Najee Harris this week. I know I've picked him before.
Thinking the same thing.
They're going against the Chargers, who I believe still have allowed the most rushing yards this season. So there's obviously that component. And then, throw in the fact that they've got a backup quarterback. They should probably lean on him a little bit more. He had 26 rushing attempts last week. He's getting 20 for the past couple of games. He's just guaranteed workload, and if he finds the end zone once, that's a really good game out of him.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing about Najee Harris, considering you want the ball in Mason Rudolph's hands as least as possible this weekend. But also at running back, I just saw it if I can find it again. But on the flip side of the game, I would not start Eckler, I don't think, because I can't really trust any running back other than probably Derrick Henry to go up against Pittsburgh's defense. They could have a fantastic game.
I mean, Pittsburgh is giving up the 10th most rushing yards, so it's not
right.
It's
still just. I think it's
anymore.
still just the bias of Pittsburgh defense. Steel curtain, if you will, and T.J. Watt's obviously the focal point of that defense, and I believe Cameron Hayward is still on that defense.
Cam Hayward's right. He's there.
And so I always just am kind of hesitant to start running backs against Pittsburgh defense just from experience, unless it's Derrick Henry, obviously, right? But we talked about it a little bit before. AJ Dillon is probably going to have another good game.
Yeah, I was going to mention him taking over that role. He's got the potential. He's been doing good in the split, and so you throw that in. Now he probably gets an increased workload, and we'll see what he's capable of. But he's definitely one for sure that I like.
So in terms of the receivers, there's plenty of stuff to choose from here, but I know that I have him in one of my leagues, DeAndre Hopkins. For some reason, I'm leaning towards not. I mean, I don't have a choice in that league because I got to start him because I got about every other player injured right now.
Well, he might not even play. Let me find his
right because I don't think he played last week.
He hasn't played. He hasn't been practicing. So.
But I'm just saying, even if he does play, even if he is confirmed to play, obviously you start him because it's DeAndre Hopkins, but I wouldn't expect a great performance.
Yeah, the Arizona offense has been very spread out.
Yeah, you don't know if Kyler Murray is going to come back, and if he does come back, he's not going to be full throttle when it comes to him running the offense. I still feel like they're going to lean towards James Conner a bit, probably implement a little bit of Zach Ertz to get some short throws for Kyler. They're going against Seattle at the end of the day, so it's not like they're going to be tested a whole lot.
Seattle's defense is actually pretty good. It's not terrible by numbers.
Well,
surprising, I know, but
it was quote unquote good enough to hold Green Bay to 3 points in 3 quarters. So
it's a solid defense. Not great, but
I'm just trying to find another receiver for a start, just so I don't.
I want to throw out. Deebo Samuel, questionable, but likelihood he plays. He's just a guy that San Francisco is using all over the place. They're always going to get the ball in his hands. They're playing the Jaguars, so that's a bad defense. So he'll get involved for sure. And then I really like Jalen Waddle. He's turned into the target guy on that Miami offense. They're going against the Jets, so not a great defense as well. I could see him getting 8 catches or something, maybe even finding the end zone. But that's a guy that I really like, and I'm high on what Waddle can do kind of the rest of the year, especially if Tua, who looks like he's finding his groove, might be figuring stuff out.
And you might find this a little surprising for my receiver pick, but at least lately I've been kind of high on Michael Pittman. And they're going up against Buffalo this weekend. And until I see Buffalo string, 3 or so wins in a row against, not the Jets or, not the Jaguars, even though they lost the Jaguars, until I see Buffalo get their momentum back up with a little win streak, I feel like Michael Pittman could have a good game against Buffalo. I don't want to say Buffalo's underestimating Indianapolis, but Michael Pittman's kind of sneaky, and Carson Wentz is starting to find his groove with the offense. And Jonathan Taylor is obviously, one of the best running backs in the league this year so far. But Michael Pittman, I could definitely picture a touchdown happening. It's a coin flip if it happens or not, but at least 80 yards receiving. I could picture 5 receptions minimum. That's in a full point PPR, even half point PPR, you're at pretty much 10 points there. So it has potential to blow up, I think. But in terms of a solid play, and I have him on 2 of my teams, I like Michael Pittman. He hasn't really disappointed me yet.
Yeah, but. And then for tight ends, Hunter Henry has just been on a streak, developing chemistry with Mac Jones. He has 7 touchdowns in his last 7 games, only 1 game without a touchdown, 1 game with 2. He's becoming the red zone weapon for the Patriots as that offense kind of begins to click. And for a tight end, you get a touchdown, it's probably a top 10 week, especially if you're throwing some other catches. So Hunter Henry is becoming the number one tight end there in New England and number one red zone target for sure. So, I like what that New England offense is going to be able to do against the Falcons tonight. And I think Hunter Henry will be a recipient of that.
Yeah, because I'm not going to put my faith in Jacoby Myers really at all.
He caught his first career touchdown last week, though.
Fantastic. Hopefully he gets more. Hopefully it doesn't take him a year and a half to get his second touchdown.
Yeah.
But so like Hunter Henry, I just had to look up the stats for receiving touchdowns in the league. Obviously, Cooper Kupp is just obviously the premier receiver this year with 10 receiving touchdowns, but tied in third place with Jamar Chase, DeAndre Hopkins, and Adam Thielen is Hunter Henry, and he has less than half the receiving yards of a lot of receivers on this list.
I mean, he's having that Jimmy Graham year where
you
run the ball and then you get around there.
Yeah, he's got double-digit touchdown potential. Maybe he'll cross 700, but when it's all said and done, that's kind of on the high side. But
that's a good tight end year though. With
that is right.
What's happening?
Not every tight end is Travis Kelce here, right?
No.
So or Darren Waller. But I mean, as the Patriots figure out their offense, or I shouldn't even say figure out their offense, as they keep just performing their offense, that's just got them on this win streak. Hunter Henry is a good play. I agree because
he's number three tight end in fantasy this year. So
yeah, and he's pretty low on this week's projections, probably because it's going up against.
Yeah, I mean, well, the projections, especially for him, are always touchdown based. So you gotta roll that in there because if he doesn't get a touchdown, he probably won't have a good game. So that's why it is. But if he gets a touchdown, he's a lock for double digits. But just with what he's doing. But I mean, we can move on to the preview unless you have something else to throw back in there.
For kicker, just start.
No. Yeah, who cares?
Get some points.
For kicker, just get rid of them in your league. They're pointless.
Well, unless you have Justin Tucker, because that probably will get you like 15 points or something.
Still, get rid of them. You don't need them. We can move on into the preview, starting with tonight's game. New England Patriots, Atlanta Falcons, Super Bowl, whatever it was, 52, 53.
50
rematch, 51, whatever. No, 51 was, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. Rematch.
That's all they need.
Yeah. New England 6.5 point favorites. Both teams have been hot. New England certainly hot. Atlanta hot for a bit, cooled down last week just by getting throttled by the Cowboys, but technically still in it. So hopefully we get a good primetime Thursday night matchup.
How long? So this could be a wager, but how long until the broadcast team tonight mentions 28-3 comeback?
I don't know.
They're going to mention it in at least the first half at some point.
I mean, we always think they will, but sometimes they don't. I don't know. We'll certainly see it from the crowd or something. But
the reason I say that is because every single time that Seahawks play prime time, they're always going to bring up that goal line interception. Or anytime they play Sunday Night Football, I should say, because it was on NBC. So they're going to bring up 28-3 at some point in this game, because it's not really relevant anymore. Because
Atlanta got there. They got a World Series. I think they're fine now. They don't. They don't need to worry about it. But in terms of what's going to happen on the field, I obviously like New England in this. I think, I mean, New England is a real sneaky chance to win that division, as we talked about, almost tied with Buffalo, still 2 games remaining against them. But Mac Jones is really figuring out, playing like a really good quarterback, and I think these teams might be heading in the opposite directions because I think the Falcons started out rough, then at some point got to 500, and now they might be trending in the opposite direction because, I mean, Cordero Patterson was their only guy who was really overachieving, and now he probably isn't playing.
Yeah, and Kyle Pitts, I guess, is coming out of nowhere now eventually. But, this is New England's game, and they're going to be 7-4, and really giving the Bills a run for their money. It is going to put a little pressure on the Bills, whether Buffalo likes it or not. But then again, weird stuff has been happening in this league lately when it comes to game outcomes, because none of us were expecting San Fran to just turn up the Jets on the Rams.
I mean, none of us were expecting like half the stuff that happened the past 2 weeks. So who knows? Maybe this last Thursday we had the Dolphins beating the Ravens. So
right.
Who knows?
For the next game, we have, at least on my screen, we have Baltimore at Chicago for a 10 a.m. game. So I'd like to say that this is Baltimore's to win, but like I said, there's just weird stuff happening right now. I mean, good teams have to lose at some point, but I mean, the Ravens, their losses have been against, for the most part, good teams. They did lose the one to Miami last week. That was a shock, right? But John Harbaugh is not going to have 2 bad games in a row. It's just not going to happen with a coach like that. And Lamar Jackson is, you don't even have to coach the guy going into a game. He can just figure it out, it seems.
Yeah, Miami's defense has been playing a bit better recently, and obviously, you can cook up the right defensive scheme. You can take down anybody. We've seen it. Broncos did it to the Cowboys. We see it from time to time, but I don't see the Bears doing that. The Bears, I think, are just a hapless team, and even if their defense could step it up, I think their offense is one of the worst in the league. So I'm not confident in them. I like Baltimore. To win that one for sure.
It's almost like the Chicago Bears season right now. It almost feels like they're on like a year-long free trial. It's like they got Justin Fields and like, all right, let's see what this is going to be like. And then at the end of the year, they're like, all right, well, we have to fix everything. Mm-hmm. We just want to see what was going to happen that year. But obviously they're going to have a coaching change real soon, and they're not going to be a destination in free agency, even though they're going to try to be. But this is going to be Ravens all day for sure. I'll take the Ravens to cover too. They're a 5.5 point favorite. Yeah. Next, we have Detroit at Cleveland. If you want to take this one, because I already have my mind made up.
I think Cleveland wins this, but I'm looking at 11.5 here. I think Detroit will cover. Cleveland just got played terrible against the Patriots. They are a team that is starting to show a lot of cracks that we thought they had filled, but certainly have not. In Detroit, I want to take them at least in the spread every single week, because eventually they've got, with how close they play these games, eventually something has to break their way. A few years ago, the Browns were, very similar to what the Lions were. So, they know what it's like. Maybe they'll throw them a bone. But, I like Detroit to keep this, within single digits. There is some stuff. Apparently, Jared Goff isn't practicing. Go to Tim Boyle, I think, is the backup. But honestly, I don't care, because I don't think Jared Goff's that good either. They're going to really lean on DeAndre Swift, and that's kind of it. Hope for some plays on the defense. But I think they could keep it within 10. Than 11, but if Nick Chubb just runs wild, who knows?
Looks like Tim Boyle has an injury of sorts. So it might be David
Blau.
I was about to call him Loff, because it's spelled like cough. But
David Blau. He was the starter for the Lions last year on around Thanksgiving time, and I think they might have even won. I don't remember. Maybe they didn't win, but he was doing some stuff. But there's teams like that where I don't really care who the quarterback is, because I don't think you're losing much from Goff to, whoever. But, it's more of, I think Cleveland, I could see Cleveland winning this 14-3 or 14-7, and there, there's a Detroit cover right there. They're really going to have to right the ship this week if they want to, try to contend in a really, close AFC with a lot of teams around that 5-5 mark.
Yeah, I think Detroit will compete for sure and make it close, but this should be Cleveland's game. They should know that going into it, and there should be no reason that they lose this game. Yeah. Houston at Tennessee at 10 a.m. as well. A lot of people think Tennessee is the best team in the league right now, because they've
got
been
the best record.
They have the best record. They've, battled through thick and thin. They lost their premier player to an injury, but he's going to be back by the time of the playoffs.
Lost Derrick Henry, and they've won. I mean, they beat the Rams and then won last week. So it's not slowing them down. The defense is really stepping up and playing really well, and the Texans aren't beating them. I mean, come on.
The Texans aren't beating them at all. Titans as a 10.5-point favorite. I'd take Titans to cover.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like they're that in sync right now. Who would have thought we'd ever, if you asked us, 5-6 years ago that Ryan Tannehill was leading the best team in football, be kind of crazy. But
shocking, for sure.
until this Tennessee team slips up at some point, which I can't see in the near future, considering I want to say their schedule for the next couple of weeks is pretty. They play New England the next week.
I mean, I know they play a lot of. I mean, they've got Houston and Jacksonville at least.
Yeah. So they play Houston again in Week 18, and then they play Jacksonville. And they play Miami. I mean,
that's 4 wins.
They're almost guaranteed 12, 13 wins by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean they'll be competing for maybe even getting that 1 seed in the first round bye in the playoffs. So
when's the last time that's happened for Tennessee? I feel like it's been a while. Probably in the Steve McNair days, I believe.
Probably 2006 when Steve McNair won co-MVP. But yeah, I mean they got this. They're playing for something. They're trying to prove themselves that Derrick Henry isn't the entire team, and so I like what they've got going on for them.
So next we got Green Bay at Minnesota. I don't care that it's in Minnesota. The fact that Packers are a 1.5-point favorite is just they should be like a 5-point favorite. I don't care if it's
they have been. I think they've covered like every game but like one. Maybe like they've been.
I'd pick Green Bay to cover, obviously, if it's going to be that close.
You're basically. I mean, if Green Bay wins, are they going to win by 1 point? Probably not. That's pretty tough. I like the way they're playing. I mean, obviously Minnesota's playing all right too, but like I've talked about, that Green Bay defense is elite, and that's what's carrying them right now. They can win when they are struggling on offense, but if the offense kind of figures it out. Then they are, also one of the best teams in the NFL, and I really like what they've got going on there. So yeah, I think they handle Minnesota.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be utterly shocked if Minnesota did an upset.
They're the team that plays close, but every week.
Minnesota's just been kind of strange this year where, it looks like they're competitive and they can win games, but then, they can't make a field goal. So
they get beat by the Cooper Rush Cowboys. Yeah. But I mean, they beat the Chargers last week. So they're playing good. Like, I mean, they're also making a run for a playoff spot, but yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to beat Green Bay. I think Green Bay's, with as much shit as they're dealing with, they are firing on damn near every cylinder. So I think they got it.
We got Miami at the Jets and MetLife.
Yes.
Miami is a 3.5-point favorite. If that doesn't show how terrible the Jets are, I don't know what does. Because the Packers are going on the road to play the Vikings, who Aaron Rodgers has just obliterated since playing in Green Bay, and they're a 1.5-point favorite. But the Dolphins, one of the worst teams this year, is going up against arguably the worst team, and it's a 3.5-point favorite. So Dolphins at Jets, just a real, grab your popcorn, folks. This is going to be a great game. But you may be surprised by this. I think I'm picking the Jets because I feel like the Jets I just have a feeling. I feel like the Jets are going to shock them. I'm not going to, until Tua ever plays, like 4 or 5 good games in a row where he's not throwing like 90 yards or something. Like I would take the Jets to beat this team right now with a backup quarterback. I feel like Zach Wilson would make them lose this game, but I feel like Flacco gives them a chance to win. It's probably a stupid, thought on my part to put my faith in the Jets, but it's a division game. It's a rivalry. Like, Why not? Let's give the Jets the win here. I'll take Jets
I mean,
to cover.
you're really coming at Tua with that slander. Back when he was playing, throwing 200 yards every game last week against Baltimore, only played less than half the game, got 150 yards. Tua, I think it's figuring something out, and New York is not good. I'm still going to roll with New York in the points because my strategy when two equal teams are playing, give me the points, and I don't want to pick either of these teams to win by a certain amount of points, but I'll still pick Miami to win because, like I said, their defense is playing well. I think Tua is certainly a better quarterback than whoever the Jets got going on.
I probably agree with that too. Miami's not – the entire team is not going to keep them in this game is the thing. Tua doesn't even have double-digit touchdowns, for God's sakes.
He's only played in a handful of games. I'm just saying the yardage is there. He's only played in
6 games. You can't
four full games. The Buffalo game, he came out very early.
4 full games, but even the game that he played the first half, I would semi-count that. But, the fact that he has 7 touchdowns on 5 interceptions and an 87 QBR, it's just not great. But anyway, I would take
this week. He's going to ball out this week.
This is screaming wager at me right now.
Go for it. I've beat you on a 2-0 wager before, so if you really want to,
by 2 yards.
It all counts.
He doesn't get over 200 yards.
Oh my God, you're doing that again? All right, let's go. Easy. He's done it every game he's played a full game. So
he's done it every game he's played a full game. That's 15% of the time. It works every time right there.
No, that means if he plays the entire game and is not injured, which has only happened once, then he throws for over 200 yards, especially against the Jets.
I would love to be wrong, but it's going to be a long time before I put my faith into it. So New Orleans at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a 2-point favorite, and Philadelphia 4-6, Saints 5-4. The Saints are in a very very kind of tricky position considering the NFC South is definitely decided with the Buccaneers. The Panthers.
They're a half game. They're a half game back, and they've got the tiebreaker.
Yeah, they're a half game back, yes, but Buccaneers will finish out the season strong, and we all know it. So the Saints.
You're right because they just lost to Washington. Yeah, strong.
Well, if they're going to have an MVP contender at quarterback, then I would think they're going to finish the year strong. I mean, the Saints don't have a quarterback right now, so
Trevor Siemian.
Weird. Yeah, ask Bronco fans what they think about Trevor Siemian. They'll tell you he's not a real quarterback. They'd pick Drew Lock over Trevor Siemian, and Drew Lock is atrocious. So
Trevor Siemian's doing nice. I've got him slotted into my super flex spot this week with Matthew Stafford on the bye. Give me Daniel Jones and Trevor Siemian for my fantasy quarterbacks. We're gonna have a good week. And I mean, I heard this and I go, oh, should I go with Philly? And then I saw Philly's favored, and I'm like, no, I think New Orleans is a better team. Give me the points with them. I think they can win. But I wouldn't be shocked if this goes either way. Philadelphia is, figuring something out. They're finally running the ball, which they neglected to do for way too long. But I'll take New Orleans and the points. I still think that the Saints just go full Taysom Hill mode because the Trevor Siemian experience has gotten them close with Atlanta and Tennessee. It's not getting them over the top. Just go full, Taysom Hill, but they're still rolling with Siemian, but I like it to work this week.
I will go the Eagles route. Jalen Hurts has been playing, sneakily good this entire year. He's obviously been a fantasy quarterback, marvel to watch. He's not been great for real NFL stats, right. But the fantasy wise, it's the same thing with Daniel Jones, right? So,
I wish Daniel Jones was doing what Jalen Hurts was doing.
I feel like Jalen Hurts will have a good game against New Orleans. Obviously, New Orleans is a great Hall of Fame coaching staff going up against Jalen. So we'll see how they tackle him. But I'd pick the favorites, Eagles, even though I think they're an underdog, really.
Eventually Simeon's got to have, that week that we're getting back to, because he came in against the Bucks, played well, but hey, hasn't thrown a pick. He's thrown 5 touchdowns. Trevor Simeon's looking nice. Give me the Saints. Give me Simeon. I'm in on Simeon.
I wonder how many of those were 2-yard passes that Kamara took away.
Don't matter.
But we got Washington football team against the Panthers.
2-yard passes. Jalen Hurts is the king of 2-yard passes. So
yeah, but Jalen Hurts can run. So
Trevor Simeon can run.
So
Trevor
Washington
Simeon's
at Carolina.
2 yards.
You know who I'm going to pick in this game. So
me too.
I feel like this is Carolina.
My only issue with Carolina was Sam Darnold. I think they're better with any other quarterback. They no longer have Sam Darnold, and now they're, that defense is good. They're a solid team. As soon as you get Sam Darnold out of there, I'll buy in. But I just Sam Darnold was just not the guy. If this was anybody other than Washington, I'd be a little nervous about Cam Newton, because I don't think that he's the type of guy you want to, drop back 25 times a game.
Well, the thing
I don't think he has the durability to run it like he could back in the day. But I think if they use him, a lot of runs, a lot of screens, get it to McCaffrey, then they're solid. But I think PJ Walker should get some. Like, if I'm in a 2-minute drill, I'd rather have PJ Walker. But we'll see what they do.
Kind of bouncing on that. It's now hitting me that Cam Newton's playing Ron Rivera.
Yeah, Ron Rivera.
So if anybody's going to know how Cam Newton played, it'd be Ron Rivera. So that being said, Carolina's got to go into this game and use them their own way and not the Cam Newton way. You're not using Cam Newton to play like Cam Newton. You have to use Cam Newton as a tool to execute your offense. So like you said, giving it to Christian McCaffrey, not dropping back 25-plus times. Yeah. And I feel like they could win this game. I mean, when you do use Cam, they have to be creative with it against this team, because, I mean, that has to be a weighing factor in this game, playing against Ron Rivera. He's a defensive coach. He's going to know how to.
But if the guys can't do it, they can't do it. But yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it'll be not a revenge game. It's like a mutual respect game here going on. But I think we've got to see PJ Walker a decent amount. I would play Cam Newton like max 25% of the snaps.
So you think they should do like a Lamar Jackson rookie year approach? Where
he's Taysom Hill with an MVP, so use him like you would Taysom Hill with an MVP, which is use him a bit more. But I mean, if I'm just running normal offense, I'd rather have PJ Walker in there, and then when we've got all right, we're in the red zone, put Cam in, or, oh, there's a 3rd down, let's put Cam in, or here, let's give him this drive. But, I would let him specialize in doing a few things, because, he's back on the Panthers, but this is a new system, this is a new playbook, and he's only been there a week. So let's let him, I just don't think that he's ready to play an entire game. I could certainly be wrong. He also could I could be right, and he could still have a great game because Washington sucks. I don't know. But as long as Sam Darnold is not taking snaps there, I will be a believer, not a full believer in Carolina, but the defense is really good. That's just, that's a fact.
Just use Cam Newton sparingly. I think they would run away with this game. Again, not downplaying Newton. It's just, playing any other coach would have been better than this, in my opinion. So we got San Fran at Jacksonville. Not going to pick Jacksonville against really anybody. Wouldn't have picked them against the Bills either. But until Jacksonville plays the Jets, and even then, that's going to be literally a coin flip for me.
They were close last week with the Colts. I was trying to remember. So I don't know. Maybe they're showing some fight, but I think San Francisco playing at its best can be, a really good team. That
They can
offense
beat the Rams. Yeah.
yeah, that offense can be really dynamic when they're doing everything correctly, and so I'll lean on that happening again. And yeah, I mean Jacksonville, they can be competitive, but I just Dan Arnold might have a good game at tight end. Dan Arnold's getting a lot of catches, but I'm just not sold on the rest of that team really.
Well, San Fran's going to touch the ball a whole lot, considering Trevor Lawrence will throw however many interceptions.
Whoa, has he even? All right, you're throwing that out there. I need a fact check you. He's been good since that. Yeah, only one interception the past 3 games since the bye against Seattle and Buffalo. So some good defenses. But I mean no picks, but the yards and the offense just hasn't been there.
No picks, and he hasn't had a double-digit touchdown game since playing Houston.
A double-digit touchdown game?
Yeah. Every other game since that game, he's had
a multiple touchdown game?
Or sorry, yeah. If someone had a double-digit touchdown
10 touchdowns.
That's what the whole show is going to be about at that point.
Anthony Gordon,
more than one touchdowns. He has not done so since September 12th. It's been 2 months since he's thrown.
That is a Jacksonville problem, not necessarily a Trevor Lawrence.
The ball. If he's throwing picks, if the picks are his fault, why are the lack of touchdowns not?
Well, he's not throwing that many picks anymore. No, I'm saying because
he's not throwing touchdowns either. So
yeah, the Jacksonville offense is terrible. Who's he throwing it to? The defenders are better at catching than his receivers. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is playing great right now, but I don't think that it's an issue that Trevor Lawrence can't score touchdowns. I think it's an issue that the Jaguars team is a roster full of players that were worthy of picking first overall, and it's just not a good team, So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I mean it won't get turned around anytime soon. But
I give Trevor Lawrence credit for not being afraid to throw the ball, so to speak, but it's just bad. And he's mobile. He's not doing much with his legs. Obviously, he's the number 1 overall pick. The team probably doesn't want him doing anything with his legs anyways. Mm-hmm. But, not going to put my faith in Jacksonville unless they're playing
no, I agree.
The Jets and possibly the Lions. I feel like if Jacksonville played the Lions, the Lions
they got Houston. They got Houston and New York later in the season. But yeah, no, I mean, Lawrence has settled down from that guy who's throwing a bunch of picks early in the season. He's only got 2 picks since week 4. But yeah, the touchdowns also are not coming because the Jaguars are just not a good football team, and they will continue to not be a good football team when the Niners beat them.
All right, we got Colts at Bills, the last 10 a.m. game on Sunday. Bills is a 7-point favorite, despite their very abnormal trend of games.
Yeah, I don't like Buffalo to win by that much against any team that's solid. They beat up on these crappy teams, but they're terribly inconsistent. The offense just seems weird at times. I think they're still a good team, but I mean, Indianapolis I think can keep it close enough. I still think Buffalo probably wins, but I think it could be. I mean, I think it could be similar to that Tennessee game, with maybe Buffalo coming out on top again, but instead, a close kind of back and forth-ish game because the Colts are no slouch. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's playing like the best back in the league. Carson Wentz is, playing decent, playing well, maybe even. And, the defense isn't as great as Buffalo's defense, but it can, it's all right.
Well, this game and next week's game for Buffalo is pretty crucial. Yeah. Considering the games following those next matchups are pretty important. They're playing Indy this weekend, and then they're playing New Orleans Thursday night football. And then they got
a tough stretch coming up.
Yeah, then they got New England and Tampa Bay.
And then they've got New England again later in the season. So they've got some tough
Carolina.
matchups.
Who knows how good Carolina's going to be in a month?
Yeah.
Who knows if the Falcons are going to make a late season surge? I doubt it, but
the weird thing about Buffalo is even when Kansas City was struggling, Kansas City beat the Giants and the Eagles and stuff. When the Bills not only lose to the Jaguars but play like crap against the Jaguars, that's scary because we've now seen their floor. That's why I talk about teams winning ugly. The Packers played a bad offensive game last week, but they still were able to win because, their floor is high enough. But Buffalo has now shown that they can play bad enough to lose to anybody, and that's scary when you're going against a team that can be competitive in Indianapolis.
Yeah, so I'm not going to pick Indy to win the game,
No.
but like you said, I don't think it's going to be as much of a blowout. If it is a blowout, then that's exactly the momentum that they need going forward to finish out the season. Because if they're going to have these, Madden on rookie difficulty type games, and then they're going to have games where they just can't even see straight, there's got to be a middle ground, and that middle ground needs to be, that middle ground needs to happen a lot more than their worst, obviously, right? So I'd pick Buffalo to win, but just not by that much. For the 1 o'clock games,
three of them.
Yeah, this one's pretty interesting. We got Cincinnati at Vegas.
Yeah. They are doing the NFL is doing let's put no games on at 1 o'clock our time so that everybody's forced to watch the game of the week, Cowboys Chiefs, which it'll be a good game. But yeah, a not really chock full afternoon lineup like you mentioned, but good games. All three of them are good games. Cincinnati, Vegas is, obviously a really close game, close with the line as well. With Cincinnati favored by 1, I'll take Vegas. Take the extra point. Not that it does much, but I don't know what to think. Obviously, they got kind of wrecked by the Chiefs, but the Cincinnati hasn't been. They had their bye, so they're kind of out. Not thinking about them too much, but I don't know. They had that hot streak where they're like, look, the Bengals are number 1 team in the AFC, and now it feels like they've kind of fallen from grace. And I think Las Vegas is a team that is more realistically pushing for a wild card spot than Cincinnati at this point.
Well, I don't know. This is probably Cincinnati's last hoorah, if you will.
Yeah, they've got. We talked about it, I think, a few weeks ago, but they got a tough stretch. They play a lot of playoff caliber teams down the rest of the schedule.
Other than this game, they got Pittsburgh the next week for a very good division game. The Chargers, San Fran could be sneaky. Denver could be a little sneaky, and then Ravens, Chiefs, Browns to finish.
Yeah, there's no gimmies, so they've got to take what they can get. This is one of the more winnable games on there, but yeah, I like Vegas. I think, I like what they're able to do.
I like Vegas too, and I'd love to put faith in Cincinnati for Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, but correct me if I'm wrong, if they haven't really been connecting as much lately. So, Joe Burrow has thrown 3 touchdowns in the past, 3 of the last 4 games. Last week they played
2 weeks ago.
Obviously.
2 weeks ago.
Are they in the bye? Yeah. But 3 of their last 4 games, Joe Burrow has at least 3 touchdowns with 1 interception. Joe Burrow has thrown at least 1 interception since September 30th against Jacksonville, of course. But Joe Burrow can put up the numbers. It's all about right, and Derek Carr can too. And I think the Raiders' offense is a little bit more. Yeah, and the
Bengals defense should be able to play a little bit better. But Jamar Chase needs to put the pedal back to put his foot back on the gas, because Mac Jones is coming for that offensive rookie of the year. Right. Jamar Chase probably ends up having better stats than him, but if Mac Jones leads the Patriots to the playoffs, even a division title, he might not have the better stats, but it's definitely the best rookie. So Jamar Chase needs to have one of those games that he had 200 yards 3 games ago, now 4 weeks ago. He's got to have one of those types of performances again to remind everybody, that he's one of the best receivers in the league, not only the best rookie receivers.
And also, the Raiders just keep overcoming obstacle after obstacle it seems here. And I just think that's the type of team that they are, where they can just be hard nosed and they can
So what's your pick? Are you going Raiders too?
I'm going Raiders as well. I would take Raiders to cover as well.
Yeah,
And
I mean, yeah, with 1 point, that's basically a pick 'em, but
right.
yeah. But them being technically the underdogs, so I like the
Right.
underdogs.
Arizona at Seattle for
Another similar one.
Again, don't know. You see 1.5. I see 2.5, and I still think that's too low for a Cardinals favorite.
I mean, Cardinals are too low. I mean, Kyler Murray not officially gonna play. I mean, like they haven't officially announced either way. He's probably going to play, but they looked bad last week with Colt McCoy. They looked good 2 weeks ago. They looked bad last week, and they just might be the team that gets out ahead, and then things start to fall apart. Obviously, dealing with a ton of injuries. Chase Edmonds goes on IR. Then you got Hopkins and Murray dealing with injuries. J.J. Watt we talked about a few weeks ago. So it's tough to see that, but I am throwing Seattle's game last week out the window. I think it's a rehab game for Russ. The Packers defense is really good, and I think that they can pull it off. I don't know. I can't tell if it's my being a homer or if I just want to go against everybody else who thinks the Seahawks are done. But I think they've got a little bit of fight left in them. But this could be the week that takes the wind out of the sails completely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not putting money on the Seahawks making the playoffs really, because I think it's well too late, and even in their division,
only a game and a half out. The last wild card spot, and they are
in order for the Seahawks to make the playoffs, 15. They need to win out the rest of the season.
Yeah. Maybe drop one, lose one.
And is this a winnable game for Seattle if Kyler doesn't play? Yes. For sure.
Even if he does, you never know. But I'm picking Seattle.
But Arizona, I mean, if Kyler's questionable, I still wouldn't play him against Seattle just for the sake of you got to keep. You're not playing the Bucs for God's sakes. They're not playing a real premier team, let alone a defense.
You got playoff, hopes. You need to save him to be healthy then.
Right. I mean, if you lose 3 games and you win the rest of them, you won 14.
I mean,
14-3. So
they could what? They're 8-2 right now. They could win 2 more games and probably still make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And their stretch of games. I mean, Seattle where they could win with or without Kyler. Chicago should be a win because Kyler would be back by then, probably full force. The Rams, most likely, I'd suspect the Rams to come back out on top for that, but then it's Detroit.
Arizona beat them once, so Rams probably get it back. Yeah.
And Seattle at the end of the year.
Yeah, there's winnable games.
If Seattle week 18 is in that spot to possibly make the playoffs, they're going to be real competitive. So, I mean, I don't want to pick Seattle here.
Give me the Hawks. Pick the Cardinals. Come on. You want to.
I'll pick the Cardinals because even with a backup, I don't think Seattle has it together because the fact that Russell Wilson played that terrible last week where they couldn't even put up a single point on the board. I mean, with Russell Wilson, they're still just way out of sorts. So I'll take Arizona even without Kyler Murray. I think
Arizona. This is a get right game for Seattle, and it has to be. But now we've got the game of the week, probably the best game out of all of them.
They make headlines if they beat them, but it's still they're still not to be taken seriously at all. Even
no, but there's not a lot of teams to be taken seriously in the NFC. So
sure. Last 1:00 game is Dallas at Kansas City, arguably the best 1:00 game to watch.
Arguably, who's arguing that it's not?
I would say Cincy and Vegas because just of how even they are as teams. And whoever wins that game, whoever wins that game are going to go on their wild card path. So,
but this is a big game for Kansas City to get back a win against another really good team. They've dropped 4 games to playoff teams, so
and I'd keep watch for Trayvon Diggs in this game. Because Patty Holmes has been throwing picks, so
only if they hit the receiver's hands first. But I like the Chiefs. I think they've gotten back to being the Chiefs, and if that offense if Patrick Mahomes is going to start throwing for 400 yards again, then that's going to be tough.
Like, I think this Dallas defense is obviously good,
Yeah.
but once I see Patrick Mahomes' second game of just balling out, which could definitely be this game. I mean, obviously seeing his stats from last week, and I was like, oh my god, Patrick Mahomes just decided to just play good today. If they win this game against Dallas, I mean, Dallas obviously I wouldn't be too shaken up about it because they're playing the division, but
the Chiefs are back to being taken seriously
in
an AFC that's wide open.
And then you have Chiefs as favorites on here too. So I would take Chiefs at 2.5. I mean, I'd take Chiefs to cover because I don't think it's even going to – it could be close, but it's not going to be that close.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, there should be fireworks. This could be reminiscent of the Chiefs-Rams game a few years ago that just had a lot of points. So
how much does Patty Holmes throw today? Or sorry,
yards?
We can do yards, touchdowns, whatever you want to do.
I mean, 350, I think, yard. I don't know. That's
I actually don't think he'll pass 350. I think he'll play good. Okay. I don't think he'll pass 350, though.
Okay, we'll go through. I was like, I don't want to say 400. That's a lot.
Right.
Almost over 300.
Now, Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott has the potential to throw more yards than Patty Holmes this game.
Yeah, I could see it happening for sure. I mean, like I don't know who's gonna lean on. I don't know if like Dallas gonna lean on the run. I doubt it, but I mean, I think we could see 700 combined passing yards for sure.
I mean, I would lean on the run just to keep Patty Holmes off the field.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's what beat Tampa Bay last week is just that last drive from Washington where they chewed the clock away. So if any team could do that method, it'd be Dallas. But Dallas they love the big play is the thing because they can run the ball, but Dak can throw it for a touchdown. They love the big play.
CeeDee Lamb looking nice.
Absolutely. CeeDee Lamb has just been he's pretty much like the wide receiver one on that team now. Which I didn't think would happen this soon in his career, but he's been playing great. Last for the Sunday game.
Oh yeah, no. I thought this was Sunday night. I thought this was Sunday night. I thought it out
too because I knew you were gonna bark at me. So
I thought this was Sunday night. Should be Sunday night, but the Chiefs I guess can't play.
Be.
Well, the Chiefs can't play.
Just get a last minute switch of these games. Like I'll take Pittsburgh at Chargers at 1:00. Just give me. Dallas.
The Chiefs can't play Sunday night every week.
Sure, but
this could be an interesting matchup
on prime time. Like,
I mean, we've got Geno Smith on prime time already, so
that's true.
But I'll jump the gun. I like Pittsburgh in this, at least to cover. I'm seeing 5.5. The Chargers I don't know what it is with them, but this is not the team that beat the Chiefs and the Browns. Even something's going on with them.
I just think it's because they're not ready. I think people are just being very impatient with Justin Herbert and the Chargers because, like, Justin Herbert obviously had a great rookie year. It's a solid roster. It's a new coaching staff, a better offensive line. Everything's pointing towards great season, and people are just impatient with this team. And I think Patriots fans are impatient with the Patriots because they expect to be in the playoffs for 20 straight years, but in their off year that they didn't make the playoffs, they may very well make the playoffs at the end of this year with a rookie quarterback. So, it hits teams at the right time. And I'm not saying Justin Herbert's not going to be that premier guy later in his career, but it's his second year in the league. I definitely thought he was going to be that second year dark horse for MVP. But
he looks the thing with him is that he looks worse than last year.
Because there's way more expectations for him now. I mean, last year it was, Tyrod Taylor's going to play a couple of games. Oh, you're playing now? Okay, we'll see how good you play. But ever since this season started, they're like, Justin Herbert's going to throw like 4,000 yards and he's going to get 40 passing touchdowns. Like, his expectations were astronomical. And I'm definitely one of the people that were excited for him. But the Chargers just aren't ready. Even if they did win this game, like, I just don't think they have what it takes to finish out the stretch. I think they're a good team, but, there are better teams. Now, Pittsburgh.
I mean, he's at 19 touchdowns. 2,000 yards.
Right, like he's not playing awful.
No, he's just not playing as good, which is, not what you want to see. You want the guys to get better after their rookie year.
But in Pittsburgh's case, this is winnable for them, obviously. Like Najee Harris could have a great game on Sunday night. Mason Rudolph, let's hope he doesn't piss off any defensive linemen. And it could be a Steelers win. And you know what? I'll take the Steelers to win as well. Just don't think like I said, the Chargers they're not concrete enough to just be a guaranteed winner over most teams. And even against a team like the Steelers with, some guy's stepdad at quarterback with Big Ben, and now you got Mason Rudolph in, like even that, I don't think the Chargers are solid enough.
I'm taking Chargers to win, Steelers to cover. I think this is Justin Herbert leads like a game-winning like field goal or touchdown. Not necessarily
had a game-winning drive before. I mean, well, it depends on what.
Yeah, he had.
Like, what's the definition of a game-winning drive?
The
last score of the game in the final.
A drive in the fourth quarter that put you ahead. I mean, he brought him down and got the field goal against the Chiefs. He scored against the Browns. So he's been doing it, but I think it's that type of game, whether it's not necessarily like field goal as time expires, but it'll be a last score. Chargers go down the field. Justin Herbert does it, and revisiting your Austin Eckler hate from earlier, I've got him in one of my leagues, and I need him to produce. So, Austin Eckler fantasy points. What do you want to set it at? I want to wager on it.
Austin Eckler fantasy points. The thing is he's kind of like a dual threat with running and catching.
It's absolutely a dual threat.
And depending on, are we going off half PPR?
Yeah, we'll do half point. That's what we
half point PPR.
I mean, I'll read you off his. He went 13 and 9 in his 13 points and 9 points in his last two.
So. I mean, I'm trying to picture what you're predicting for him, because I don't think he gets over like 20.
Well, I don't want to do that. Like 12. You said bench him, so I thought you were feeling strong.
I don't think he gets over, let's say, 15.
Okay, I'll take it on 15. 20. I won't. But you were.
I'm not entirely confident with it, but it could definitely happen.
Yeah. So you're just the pessimist this week because you've got unders.
Well, I'm picking underdogs, so I can't be that much of a pessimist. I mean,
I'm just saying all three of our wagers is I'm the over. You're saying under. So you're being a pessimist.
Hey, I think Dak Prescott could outplay Patrick Mahomes. That's what that was really based on. So.
And I just want to remind you that we do have a season-long wager that Jonathan Taylor won't be a top 5 running back. So
yeah, that's not looking so hot, but the Carolina wager is looking pretty decent right now.
Yeah, we'll see. It's close, but yeah, Jonathan Taylor.
I will be happy, but also kind of depressed if I win that wager.
Yeah,
against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I put all my emotions into that one, but that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you tuning in as we talk Week 11. We will be back with you after the weekend to recap Week 11, and my guess is it will be just as crazy as the past couple of weeks. Hopefully leaves us some good stuff to talk about. But remember to follow Dash Sports on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, as well as subscribe to the Dash Sports YouTube channel to check out our show and the rest of the Dash Sports shows. And check out the website, Dash Sports TV. And we will see you again next week talking about some more NFL as we get closer and closer. Thanksgiving is when that hits. That's when it really starts to feel like playoff end of the year football. But that'll do it for us.